Hello, I'm Pam Carruthers of HealingStars.com, and I'm a Western and also Vedic astrologer. And every time I'm asked when's the best time to launch, that can be arrange a marriage, it can be launch a business, a website, anything like that, a ceremony of any sort. I always use the Vedic system. So what you're seeing here is called a Panchang, for a general auspicious event or task, or it's called a Muhurta. It's electional astrology. And what you're looking at now is actually, as I'm talking, the 10th of March 2022. And you can see in these diagrams, this is really interesting, this percent, these bar graphs. So 66, 80, 62, that's pretty good. Everything depends on the date and also the time of day, because things change through the day. And on the right, you can see this is the actual chart of now. That's the ascendant. It's a template, everything goes clockwise. So here, this is Leo, and opposite Aquarius, that's Neptune, the Sun, Jupiter, and Mercury. And there, the moon at the top there is in a very beautiful part of the sky. 7th, 8th, 9th is in the 10th house, which is excellent. And the day, today is Jupiter's day, it's Thursday. And the lunar mansion, that's called the nakshatra, is Mrigashira. It's the head of a deer. It's very gentle, it's very beautiful. Now, overall, those scores are pretty good. Also, I take into account, the relationship of the planets. And then this chart is called the Navamsha, and it's the result of this chart set for 4 o'clock and GMT on the 10th of March 2022, where I live in Hove, south of for those who don't know, it's near Brighton in the UK. So this is the Navamsha chart. Now, I wouldn't want to use this chart because there's Jupiter and it's hidden. That's the 12th house. And Venus is good, excellent Venus. Mercury not so good. Overall, it's not brilliant. I would want to do better. Now I'm going to move it forward 1 hour. You can see things change. Mainly overall, this is what's changing here. It's this Navamsha chart. The first chart stays roughly the same. But if I now move that a day, and that's gone to 9 o'clock, so if I go, tomorrow looks better. Tomorrow is the day lord is Venus. However, this lunar mansion, Ardra, isn't the best. If I go backwards in time, however, so if I go back 2 hours, let's just whiz that through, 9 o'clock. In fact, if I go back slightly, 1 o'clock, notice that lunar mansion has now gone back to the positive one. And if I go back 1 hour, you can see this score went up, 90%. This particular time, 8 o'clock, Friday, day of Venus, that ascendant is Aries. And Mars rules Aries. 7th, 8th, 9th, it's in the 10th house, and it's in Capricorn, it's exalted. So that's very positive. Jupiter, I always look, what is Jupiter doing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It protects, it's supporting the moon, which is, in general terms, it's the public. And I would then be looking at my client to see, does that work with my client's chart? I'm comparing it to my chart, and the moon would be in my first house, which is a very good place for the moon. However, other things come into being. But certainly, that 90% is very, very powerful. If I go forward 1 hour, you've now still got that lunar mansion. So even though, again, I could go, 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, which is better? Now we're talking about Venus, 7th, 8th. Venus is in the 9th house, in a friend sign. So that's just one little example. But what is fascinating is when you start to play a bigger game. So if I go, here's a nice chart, 18th, again, I would be tweaking this, but by then the sun has changed sign. And then if I go forward again, this is 7 days. Oh, that isn't as good. Can you see what's happened? That score has now gone to 55. I can go quite forward. That's the 1st of April. It happens to be a new moon. There it is, the new moon. But it's actually showing up okay. And I go, that's interesting. I wouldn't advise that usually, but the day after is better. So you can see there's 77%, there's 80, 62. There are certain days that I looked at before. If I go back again, go backwards, so I looked at the 20th, and going back again, it's the 18th, 1 day, 19th, 20th, that's low. See, that's not very good. That score has now gone down to 55. The 22nd, really bad. So can you see how this makes a huge difference depending on the day? So that 33% is really weak. It's a day of Mars, so Mars is good for fighting. Mars is exalted still. Yeah. However, that isn't very good, she says, grimacing. And then I've got the 26th down as also a pretty bad day. Wow, look at that. See what I mean? So all of these factors are really important in deciding in advance. I work up to 3 months usually, though I do have clients who are looking at a wedding in India next year, which is a big organisation, of course. So I've been able to look right ahead to them. But that's just one event. So it's important to go, which event is most important for me? And over a 3 month period, I would be going, we could look at 3 different days, that would work. There happens to be a really auspicious day coming up this year. It happens every day, and I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's a day when this score here goes up to 100, which is really, really good. It is the day when the sun, this is the sun in Pisces here, it's after the sun moves into its exaltation sign of Aries. And remember, I'm using Vedic astrology based on the sidereal zodiac. There is also, I will let you know this one, I'm not that mean a person, I will let you know that after we get to April the 16th, you can see it's already Jupiter. Jupiter is moving sign into its own sign, and that day is actually the 14th. Yes, it is. There you are. You can see the 13th, 14th, depending on the time of day. But here, wow, we've got one of those 100% on that day, 90% there. And there's that sun exalted. So Jupiter's really, really positive. And Jupiter will be staying in Pisces in the Vedic system for an entire year. And I'm telling all my clients this. It's a really important transit, especially if you are going through a dasha, that's a main cycle of Jupiter, or the minor cycle. It's really personal for you. And where will this be occurring in your chart? So please contact me, Pam Carruthers, healingstars.com, and this service I offer is actually called Launch with the Stars, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for watching. Pam Carruthers, healingstars.com.